I walked into that room, heart pounding, not knowing that my life would be shattered in the next few seconds. The words hit me like a slap, each syllable deeper than the last. I'm leaving you for her. The coldness in his eyes, the indifference in his voice, left me frozen, speechless. But that wasn't the worst part.
No.
The worst part? My best friend, had been sleeping with him behind my back for months. And my family? Not a single word. They just watched, silently, as my life crumbled in front of them. The betrayal cut deeper than I ever thought possible. The person I trusted most, the one I thought would never hurt me, had chosen her. And when I looked to my family for support, nothing. Not a word. Not a hug. Just silence. It felt as if they were all in on it, quietly deciding that I wasn't worth fighting for. That's when it hit me. The person I thought I was, the person I had spent years becoming, wasn't enough. And I couldn't let them win. Tears blurred my vision, but in the midst of my pain, something inside me ignited. It wasn't anger, it was something colder. A deep, burning resolve. I wasn't going to be the victim. I wasn't going to beg for their love or approval. I was going to make them regret ever turning their backs on me. I walked away with only one thing on my mind. I would rise, and I would build my empire. Fast forward to now. I'm standing on top of everything they never thought I could be. And guess what? It wasn't for them. It wasn't to prove anything to the people who abandoned me. It was for me. I had made something of myself. And now they wanted to come back. They wanted to see the success I had built on my own. But here's the question. Will they even recognize the person I've become? There was a time before everything turned upside down, when I thought I had it all. My family was my world. My parents, always proud of me, always encouraging me to push harder, to do better. We're a team, my father would say, and I believed that. I believed that we were invincible together. I had a sister too, my partner in crime, the person who knew my every secret, my every dream. But everything started to change when he entered our lives. He seemed perfect, everything I could ever want. He made promises of forever, promises I held onto tightly. In those early days, I never questioned him, never thought to. He was everything I wanted, and he made me feel seen, loved, important. And then, my best friend, the one I had confided in, the one who knew my heart, betrayed me in the most unimaginable way. It wasn't just that they got together.
No, it was the how.
The deceit, the secrecy, the whispered conversations when I wasn't around. The family knew. They knew exactly what was happening, and not once did anyone stand up for me. Not once did anyone tell me the truth. Instead, they stood by and watched as my world came crashing down, their silence louder than any words they could have spoken. The night I found out, I confronted him. I thought I would get an apology, some kind of remorse. But no. He looked at me with cold eyes and said, "She's different. I'm happier." That was it. There was no sorrow, no regret. Just a finality that shattered everything. My world, my life, all of it crumbled right there in that moment. But I refused to let them win. Not him. Not my family. Not anyone. I left. I took what little I had left, the pieces of my dignity, and I walked away. The first few months after that night were the hardest. I had nothing, no support system, no family, no one to turn to. Just my anger and my hurt, and that was all I could rely on. I couldn't go back to the life I once knew. Too many memories, too many reminders of how I had been discarded. But then something unexpected happened. The anger I had been holding on to began to morph into something else, focus. I realized I wasn't just going to survive this. I wasn't going to let this pain define me. Instead, I was going to thrive. I had the skills, the drive, the hunger to make something of myself. And so I started small. A project here, a startup there. Slowly but surely, the pieces began to fall into place. And then came the people who would change everything. They weren't family. They weren't friends from the past. These were strangers who saw something in me that I hadn't yet seen in myself. A mentor, a woman who had faced her own demons, taught me a powerful lesson that would become my mantra. You don't need anyone's approval to succeed. But even with all the progress, the scars still remained. There were nights when I doubted myself. Was all of this worth it? Was it worth leaving behind everything I knew? Every success felt empty at times. Every victory tasted bittersweet. I thought about reaching out to my family, telling them about how far I'd come, about the empire I was building, but my pride always stopped me. No, this was never about them. This was about me proving to myself that I was worth more than the rejection, more than the betrayal. I was building something for me, for my strength, and I could feel it in my bones. The day was coming. The day when I would stand in front of them, not as the person they had abandoned, but as someone they would never recognize. The day came when I finally stood in front of them again, my father, my sister, my mother, all of them sitting there, unsure of what to expect. They knew of my success, of course. The stories were hard to ignore, but they never really understood how or why it had happened. I wasn't the same person they had known. The pain had transformed me into someone they didn't recognize. I was stronger, harder, and more determined. I wasn't broken anymore. You did this? My father asked, his voice a mixture of disbelief and, yes, pride, but tinged with doubt. They all thought I would crumble, that I would fold under pressure, but they had misjudged me. I hadn't just survived, I had thrived. I stood tall, steady, and I met their gaze without flinching. Yes, I said, my voice calm, but every word carrying the weight of everything I had been through. I did this. Not for you, but for me. You taught me that nothing was ever enough for you, so I went out and built my own empire. My sister looked at me, her eyes wide, a mixture of regret and jealousy. We never meant to hurt you, she whispered, her voice barely audible. But I wasn't here for apologies anymore. Maybe not, I replied, my voice colder than it had ever been. But you did. The confrontation wasn't the explosive scene I had imagined. It was quiet, controlled, just like I had become. I didn't need their validation. I had learned to find my worth within myself. In the days that followed, my family tried to apologize, but I wasn't interested in their apologies anymore. The apology I needed wasn't one they could give me, it was one I had already given myself. I had built something real, something powerful, and no one could take that away from me. As I looked out from my office window, the skyline stretching out before me, I realized something. I had done it. I had turned my pain into power, my rejection into triumph. I had finally become the person I was always meant to be, strong, independent, and free. I didn't need them to complete me. I was already whole. I am enough.